You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. All right, we got a lot to talk about. A lot has happened this week. And we got some information about Mike Pence that just came out courtesy of Mayor Giuliani. Okay, and this is some fascinating stuff. And, you know, Giuliani, I love Mayor Giuliani. They're always giving Mayor Giuliani a hard time. I've talked many times about what a great American hero he is, because on 9/11, when every member of the federal government fled Washington, remember on 9/11, Bush was on Air Force One flying all over the country. Dick Cheney was in the nuclear bunker underneath the White House. The entire Congress, both houses, evacuated to military bases. Yeah. The only functioning government we had was Mayor Giuliani in New York, who went to Ground Zero and took charge on the front lines of battle in the first hours of the war on terror when everybody else was running and hiding. So he's a war hero. When people go after Mayor Giuliani, that's why we call him America's mayor. It really disgusts me. It's like going after Audie Murphy or Sergeant York or something. It's disgusting. And 9/11 was a long time ago, and I think people forget that he was he's him and Beamer, right? The Flight 93 people and Mayor Giuliani are incredible heroes. So I always got to mention that, because I get so disgusted that they're trying to turn him into a cartoon character. And also, even before 9/11, and he has great leadership during the attack, what he did to New York City to revitalize it was absolutely amazing. Before he was mayor, New York City was worse than it is now. I went to New York City before Giuliani. I was terrified. I went to Times Square and I thought I was going to be killed, and he turned it into Disney World, right? And a safe place. Now it's filled with crime again. But he's a great man and everything else, so it really burns me. But anyway, Rudy Giuliani, he doesn't care anymore. He's letting everything be known, and he gave us some inside info on Mike Pence and his wife. Listen to this. This is nice. In the aftermath of the latest indictment against President Trump, with Mike Pence blasting crackpot lawyers advising Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani has accused the former vice president of being bossed around by his wife. Now, this is it gets a little bit more detailed than that. Listen to this. Pence provided some of his most pronounced criticism of Trump this week following this new indictment, right? I mean, he was just nasty. And what Pence had said, he said, sadly, the president was surrounded by a group of crackpot lawyers. They kept telling him what his itching ears wanted to hear, Pence said. And, of course, one of those would be the great Mayor Giuliani, America's mayor. In fact, many believe the dig was directed specifically at America's mayor, okay? I was always worried about him following Trump because I would see him with his wife having something around his neck every night, Mayor Giuliani told Eric Bolling last night.
That's funny.
On Newsmax. Giuliani went on to say, this is Pence's wife, she doesn't let him go to and then he stopped himself, and then he said, no, she lets him go to the bathroom by himself. That's about it. But imagine that skunk doing what he did today, Giuliani said. Giuliani's attacks come as Trump also took notice of Pence and threw shade in his direction. I feel badly for Mike Pence, who is attracting no crowds, enthusiasm, or loyalty from people who, as a member of the Trump administration, should be loving him, Trump posted on Truth Social. And then he goes on. This thing, though, about Giuliani is pretty good. Is pretty good stuff. Giuliani also tore into Pence's legal background. Pence attended the Indiana University School of Law. And it goes into some things attacking him on that. But this thing about the wife having a ball and chain on him, and he said a leash around Pence's neck and doesn't let him go anywhere alone except to the bathroom. And he had to just think about that to make sure he's seen him go to the bathroom alone. I don't trust Mike Pence ever. I did not like Mike Pence.
Well, apparently neither does his wife.
Well, I'll tell you where I think this is an indicator of. I'm not saying what I'm about to share is true about Mike Pence, but it's an indication of something, which I'll tell you in a moment. But I never liked Mike Pence. When President Trump first picked Mike Pence, I thought it was weird. And I said, I love Trump. I will always support Trump in every decision he makes. But there's just something about Mike Pence that rubs me the wrong way. And what rubbed me about Mike Pence the wrong way was there were two things about him that are very much related. His holier than thou thing, right? He'll never be alone in a room with a woman he's not married to. And you could never tell his true personality. The way he talked is so fake, wooden, and scripted. Very few facial, and I just don't trust a man whose real personality you can't detect from talking to him. I just never trusted the guy. A wife, and I'll throw this out to you, ladies in the audience, in particular ladies who are divorced. If a wife will not allow their husband to be alone under any circumstances, there's something that's happened in that marriage.
I agree.
And
Absolutely.
That's a trust thing. She doesn't trust him to be
exactly
alone.
Right.
She doesn't trust him to be somewhere without her. And
that's why he's never in a room alone with a woman. It's not out of respect for women. It's probably a deal he made with his wife because something happened and she was probably going to leave him. I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
And maybe part of him getting back together was him agreeing to the fact that I will never be alone with another woman again.
Or anybody.
She doesn't trust him, and she keeps a tight leash, apparently. And I think that's some agreement they came to for her to not leave his ass. Just like, I'm going to...
That's right.
Fine. I'll agree to it. I won't... We won't get a divorce, but you have to never be alone with another woman again. You can't be trusted. Well, and wherever you go, I'm going to watch you like a hawk.
Well, according to Mayor Giuliani, it's not just women. He's not allowed to go anywhere alone.
I guess so.
Okay. And Steve and I know someone that every time you call their cell phone, the wife answers. And this would really drive me nuts. And I'd call this, wife would answer.
That's weird.
And she was always in a sour mood. And I talked to Steve about it. I said, Steve, I don't understand. He said, well, obviously, he's cheated on her.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that she answers all of his phone calls when there's a number she doesn't recognize, but she's got a tone when she answers, and there's obviously been an issue there. So that's what's one of the, I think, strongest possible. Something happened with the Pences.
It's a statement on him, not on her.
Well, both of them. Yeah. And it would be devastating to him because he's the holier-than-thou Christian guy.
Exactly.
So, she would be fine.
He's a big phony.
Not. He's a big phony. That's
he's
exactly
like Joel
right.
Osteen.
Yeah, Joel Osteen's a big phony,
They
too.
talk the same. They have similar affect, the way they talk.
Yeah.
Very condescending and phony. And I liked Mike Pence in the beginning. You never did. But I never liked the way he talked. It was a little weird. And I said, well, maybe it's just the way he talks. He was in the radio, and maybe he feels that he has to talk that way. But he definitely showed his true colors. And I don't know what right now I feel like him and Chris Christie and Bill Barr, they're just being paid to bash Trump publicly. And Bill Barr was on MSNBC, and Greg Kelly was talking about it, how he wouldn't leave. He was there the whole show, and he looked very sad, and his heart just wasn't in it. And I think because I think he likes Trump deep down, and I think he doesn't want to bash him, but he's being told to, and he's making money off it. So he's going on TV to say what they want him to say. He's irrelevant now. A lot of these people, it's what that one guy said on the news last year that I saw. He said, people in that world live and die by their dinner invitations. And he said, the minute you're off that list, remember we saw that event at the White House and Bill Nelson was there?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, the state dinner with Hunter.
Yeah, he's no longer the senator of Florida, but he still gets those dinner invitations. And this guy, I can't remember his name, but he's in the know. And he said, when those invitations stop coming, he said, they just freak out. These are the media, people that are politicians. He said, because that means they're out of the loop. They're out of that club. And that's what he said, that is all they care about is being in that club and being invited to those events. And that's what's happening with Bill Barr, Mike Pence. They want to stay in that club. And the way they stay in that club is by bashing Trump. And the more they do that and help the deep state with their agenda, then they'll just stay on that guest list. But if they go out and align themselves with Trump and say, look, I work with the guy, he's a nice guy, the things you're hearing are not true, those invitations and those invites to the Hamptons are going to stop. And they're going to be stuck living at home, watching TV, and not being a part of anything anymore. And that's their biggest fear, is being out of that loop.
That's right. So they're getting ready. When I say the establishment, they're getting ready to drop DeSantis. I mean, DeSantis, he's running out of money, and he's trying to write it out through this debate because he's got some fantasy that, he's going to have a moment in the debate, and that moment is going to lead to him having the thing with DeSantis, there has not been a single moment in his campaign that has been positive. From the Twitter Spaces launch with Elon Musk, it's been a disaster. And
that's true.
I got a call this morning on the morning show. You guys can go back and watch that on my YouTube channel. It was a guy who moved to Florida with his wife from Virginia. He said because of DeSantis during the
heard
lockdown.
That call.
Did you hear that guy?
Yeah.
And he said he's never seen someone just totally just screw themselves like DeSantis is
crazy.
Done. Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking in terms of politics, he just makes, for his first bad decision was running against Trump. That was the first bad decision he made. I mean, any person with a brain would be like, and I'm sure people in his circle told him this, but according to
depends on who's in his circle.
According to that one guy that talked about it, that knew him or something, I can't remember who it was, on the news, said that he doesn't like constructive criticism. He doesn't take it well. I'm sure somebody in his orbit at some point must have said, you need to wait, like Trump's, you're not going to win. You're not going to beat this guy. Of course, he probably kicked him to the curb. But that was his first mistake, was thinking he could beat Trump. And it's just been one bad decision after another. All he had to do was wait it out. But he had people around him just chirping in his ear. He had all this money coming in that he had raised that was left over. And he had flipped Miami-Dade in his mind. He had all these people, and he never liked Trump to begin with. Be clear about that. That's why he is running against Trump. If he really liked Trump, he would not do this. But he never liked Trump. He used us and used the MAGA movement to get elected. So if he was a real MAGA person, he would have waited. And he would have said, no, I want his endorsement. I'm going to wait. But he hates Trump. And he thinks he can save the country from Trump. He
obviously, most of you probably know DeSantis is our governor. And I always tell people when this comes up, he did us a favor in that he blew his cover, because if he would have pretended to be with us in the MAGA movement still, he would have gotten the nomination in 2028 and very well would have been elected president after Trump's second term. And now that's not going to happen. And he would have, if he would have kept his secret all that time, could you imagine the shock we would have gotten after he became president in 2028 and we found out he was in with Paul Ryan and Jeb Bush and all of them? It would have been terrible. So he did us a favor in that. And I'm a little concerned when he drops out, because he's still our governor for a couple of years, and he's going to come back to Florida. I say come back because he doesn't seem to be here anymore. He's going to be pissed off at all of us and blame us. And let me tell you guys, I've been on the air every day for months exposing Ron DeSantis.
He might just be pissed off at you.
I'm in the heart of Florida here, and
you've been relentless.
And believe me, it has gotten back to him. In fact, the first donors to drop him were donors in our listening audience. Some big donors in Palm Beach dropped him quite a while ago, and from what I understand, many people believe it's a direct result of me talking about DeSantis.
You were enlightening them to what was really going on.
A lot of people didn't know, and sometimes I get a little nervous. You take on a vengeful, nasty governor like this guy, like I've been doing, and I usually don't worry about things like that. But it's a little risky what I'm doing here. He's going to come back to Florida, and who knows? He's going to be on a vengeful. I don't mean just specifically towards me, but when he comes back to Florida, he's going to be very angry at Republicans in Florida, and what he does is unknown. But anyway, so we were talking about a week and a half ago on the program about something, a prediction, and it was a prediction of yours, Kathy, and it looks like it's coming true.
Oh, I love that.
There's an article today, and I've seen versions of this in all the publications. Is it time for Glenn Youngkin to enter the race? A new Virginia poll shows that Youngkin would beat Biden in a head-to-head by 7 points. and while DeSantis would only tie with Biden. So they're going for Youngkin. Couple things about Youngkin. If you remember, don't trust this guy for a number of reasons. One, he distanced himself from President Trump when he was running for governor. That's one. Number two, Virginia, never trust a statewide elected Republican from Virginia. Virginia mostly is decided by the voters in Northern Virginia. That's where the huge population center is. That's where all that school board BS happens.
Right.
And that's where all the Washington bureaucracy and insiders live. So to win a statewide race in Virginia as a Republican, you have to be in with these Beltway insiders. It's too close. So Youngkin is going to be the new DeSantis. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin could turn one blue state red, according to a new Virginia poll, putting Youngkin against Biden in the 2024 race. A survey conducted by the Virginia Commonwealth University's Wilder School found that if the presidential election were held today, Youngkin would beat Biden by 7 points. Biden would tie with DeSantis. So you're going to notice a big push for Youngkin now, and you'll probably find the media start to push him. You know, the media, I think a lot of us have kind of forgot about this because the media, they're so irrelevant today. But prior to 2016, the media were very powerful. And one of the things, Rush used to talk about this a lot, one of the things the media hated about Donald Trump is that he beat them, that they were not behind him for the nomination or the general election. He beat the media twice. The media like to think that they decide who the candidates are because if they don't like someone, they'll just destroy their reputation. And they weren't able to do that with Donald Trump. You know, the Access Hollywood and all this stuff that they did. Remember Miss Universe? Miss Piggy. That was just a big PR move that he did for the Miss Universe pageant. I remember that whole thing when he was running around with Alicia Machado. I don't know why I remember her name, but I remember her name. She was on all the talk shows with Trump about losing. She had gained weight after she was Miss Universe, and Trump said, you can't gain weight. If you're Miss Universe, you got to stay in shape for the year, you know. But and he would go like on Regis and Kathy Lee, and she'd have to get like on a rowing machine or something with Regis. It was really,
oh my God.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was a PR thing. It was a PR thing. But anyway, regardless of this, you know, this thing with Youngkin, notice what they're doing now. They're starting another scheme. They're getting ready to drop DeSantis.
Oh, yeah.
It'll probably happen not long after the debate because he's going to be out of money. But the DeSantis,
especially after the way he debates.
Oh yeah, see, DeSantis is awful in debates. Now he's going to have, Brett Baer and Martha McCallum are going to have his back, and he's in a debate with all Republicans. I've never seen DeSantis in a debate with other Republicans. I've only seen him. Yeah, I've seen him in the gubernatorial debates. There was, and they were both against Democrats at both his elections, and he was running against weirdos and freaks, and they beat him in the debates. It was really bad, but it didn't matter because he had us and Trump behind him, and it didn't matter.
That's true.
But now these debates will be seen. I think the Republican debate without Trump is going to be a non-event, and I really hope that President Trump holds strong and does not do the Fox News.
Are you going to
debate.
Watch it if he's not on it?
Well, I have to watch it so that I can talk about it on the show. So, yeah, it's going to be the most uneventful, non-soundbiteable debate probably
here's what they'll
in
do.
The history of debates.
If Trump doesn't show up, they'll just talk about him the whole time. That's their way of trying to get people to stay tuned. They'll make everything centered on Trump.
Yeah.
Because he won't be there. And they might even go so far as to have an empty podium spot in the middle where he should be.
They might.
And that
in
would
case
be crazy.
He shows up at the last minute.
And they might do that, but I promise you if he's not there, they will center everything around him and they will all talk about him to try to get people to watch. And if they do that, I think people will watch. I think people will tune in for the first 5 or 10 minutes. And if they're not discussing Trump, I think people will leave. But if they are, people might stay. I want to see it because I want to see DeSantis crash and burn. He is so bad at debating.
He's
guys.
up there with friendly Republicans. I don't expect him to crash and burn.
I don't know.
Well, the thing about
he has this deer in the headlights look when he debates.
Well, the thing about
crazy.
Debates when they're in the primary, everyone's in the same party. But what typically happens, and this has happened in Republican debates, it happened in Trump's first. even when it's all Republicans, whoever is the front runner is the focus of the debate and attacked by the other candidates. And if you even go back, when George W. Bush ran for president the first time, there were a lot of Republicans running against him. And I remember I don't know if this was the first debate, but this is a memorable primary debate when he was still Governor Bush and running. It was in Iowa, and they were going after him. And there were two things that they were attacking him on to try to destroy him. One was about federal subsidies for corn, for ethanol. And he says, no, I don't support ethanol. It's a waste of money. And then, how could you say this in Iowa? Because the corn farmers, And that was the debate where they asked him to name his favorite political philosopher, which they knew the answer was going to be. He said Jesus. Oh, that's inappropriate to say Jesus. How dare you say such a thing? I don't have a favorite political philosopher. I mean, my favorite politician is Trump.
Jesus wasn't a political philosopher. He wasn't a politician.
Who is a political philosopher? I don't even know what that means. I mean, Trump's not a philosopher. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's a stupid question.
It is.
But I guess they picked up in an interview.
I thought they said your favorite philosopher.
Political philosopher. I remember and so
I don't even know who would be that.
All the candidates were going after George W. Bush until it was just him. And you guys remember all the debates with Trump. So without the front runner at the debate, they don't have much to talk about.
They're going to talk about Trump.
Probably.
You really think they're just going to go after DeSantis? He's not the threat. Trump is. And they're all being paid to attack Trump.
Now, I do just want to, before we break, I want to say a couple of things about Vivek Ramaswamy, okay? Because a lot of people are calling me and messaging me and talking about, Vivek Ramaswamy says all the right things. He's supporting Trump. He's running in the primary against Trump. If you're running against Trump, you're not supporting Trump. And the Ramaswamy, we know nothing about this guy. I'm not supporting someone who I know nothing about just because he says all the right things. We have a lot of people that used to say all the right things, right? Jenna Ellis, Mike Pence. Who else used to say all the right things? Ron DeSantis. There's a long line of people who used to say all the right things that we find out really aren't great people, right? So we don't know anything about Ramaswamy. So all of these people in our MAGA movement that are promoting Ramaswamy, think about that for a minute, guys. We know nothing about this guy. And Ramaswamy could obviously he's not going to be president, okay? He knows this, but he's running for president to elevate himself so he has a seat at the table of discussions of everything in the political realm. And he very likely, Ramaswamy, is saying all these things so that he can get inside Trump's inner circle. President Trump said a couple of nice things about him in his most recent rally in Pennsylvania. He said a couple of nice things about Ramaswamy. And Ramaswamy's been even more complimentary of Trump since the Erie, Pennsylvania rally, if you've noticed. So I don't trust Ramaswamy any more than I trust Jeff Sessions, who said all the right things, and then he appointed Mueller, or any of these other people we mentioned.
You really can't trust any of them, really.
No.
But do you think Youngkin is going to jump in? I don't. I don't think he's that stupid. And then I saw that this is bizarre. DeSantis and Newsome want to debate each other. Why? These are two guys that are desperate. Neither one of them is going to become president ever. They're both nuts. And DeSantis is just horrible with people. He's horrible on camera. And Newsome's literally like criminally insane. He's just he's psychotic. I mean, you can tell by he's so animated when he talks and just with his skinny pants and just strange. And California is a mess. It's a mess. So he doesn't have a shot in hell, but they want to debate each other. These two have a thing for each other. And it's really bizarre how I've never seen two governors that are not racing against each other ever. They have this fantasy, I guess, that they're going to be up against each other in 2028. You
know what it is, Kathy?
I think DeSantis is going to run again in 2028.
With Newsome and DeSantis, they're like the WWE, right? They got this fake rivalry going on. They're really working together.
But what's the point? You think so?
They've been going back and forth for like 2 years with one another.
Because they want to run against each other.
And they're trying to be relevant and be on TV together and get coverage and elevate one another. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot to talk about. We've only just begun. We'll be right back after this break.
August is an absolutely wild month of entertainment at Riddle's Comedy Club in Alsip, Illinois, the southwest suburb of Chicago, with their sizzling Saucy Sundays lineup. Straight from St. Louis, the sensational violinist Belle will set the stage on fire. But that's not all. Prepare for an unforgettable headlining performance by the incredibly talented Styx, hosted by the one and only Brandon Hot Sauce Glover from Comedy Central and HBO Max. Brace yourself for non-stop laughter as Saucy Sundays features one of Chicago's funniest comedians that's guaranteed to leave you in stitches. This is an epic lineup. You can get your advance tickets now at eventbrite.com. Just search Saucy Sundays. Tickets are also available at the door. Saucy Sundays are events to remember at Riddle's Comedy Club. Get ready for laughter, music, and unforgettable performances. Go to Eventbrite right now and search Saucy Sundays. Doors open at 7 p.m. Show starts at 8. Step into the exciting world of boxing history with the book Rivals in the Ring, 15 Greatest Boxing Rivalries of All Time, from author Andrew Dalziel, available on Amazon. In Rivals in the Ring, witness the fierce intensity and emotional drama that defined boxing's most legendary rivalries. You'll feel the adrenaline as these titans clashed, both in and out of the ring, leaving nothing but pure passion in their wake. You'll learn about the harsh realities of boxing. Some battles led to life-changing injuries and tragic losses, reminding us of the sacrifices these warriors made in the name of greatness. When you read Rivals in the Ring, you'll embrace the evolution of boxing as it intersects with medical advancements, ensuring the safety and well-being of today's fighters. This must-read book sheds light on the sport's transformation and its impact on the lives of fighters. Rivals in the Ring uncovers some of boxing's most noble moments over the past 120 years, while also tackling the challenging aspects that test boxing's integrity. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Rivals in the Ring, 15 Greatest Boxing Rivalries of All Time, from author Andrew Dalziel. From author Gary L. Bausch comes the inspiring book, Never Waste a Perfectly Good Terminal Disease, available on Amazon. This heartfelt book uplifts individuals facing the challenges of Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS, and anyone dealing with a serious, incurable illness or debilitating condition. Filled with hope and encouragement, it guides readers to embrace practical daily living with joy and cherish the present moment. By emphasizing the strength of faith, the book shows that hope can triumph over personal power when dealing with severe disease. Living under the protective wing of God's strength, assurance, and hope, find fulfillment and purpose even in the face of adversity. Order your copy of Never Waste a Perfectly Good Terminal Disease from author Gary L. Bausch on Amazon, and discover a beacon of hope and strength for those facing life's greatest challenges.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. All right, got a few things we got to talk about in this segment. I mean, there's just so much craziness going on. Okay, one. There's a fake news story that started from a Fox News poll a couple of days ago that is circulating, leaving Fox News out of it, okay? There was a Fox News poll, and now I've seen this story all over Twitter and other places circulating around without Fox News being connected to it. And what it says is that a poll, it shows that half of Trump supporters would vote for someone else if Trump is convicted of all these charges. Okay, Fox News did that poll. I don't know who they polled. They very well polled their viewers, and the MAGA viewers have left Fox News, okay? So the only people Fox News have left are never-Trumpers and Trump haters and liberals watching their network. But what people are going to do if Trump is not on the ballot, which I don't think is likely, chances are he'll be on the ballot, it'll be fine. But the write-in discussion has already begun everywhere, okay? It's already begun. Mm-hmm. Even on The View today, they were talking about writing in, okay? So I don't know if you could win with a write-in candidate. I don't even know how to do that. I've never done that before. And I imagine when you show up to vote, it is a process to write in a candidate.
Yeah.
And then there's you know how these people are. Do you write in Donald Trump? Do you write in Donald John Trump? Do you write in Donald J. Trump? What if you write in Donald Trump and it doesn't have the J in it? There's all kinds of things, okay? So a write-in candidacy, a lot of people are talking about like, oh, that's no problem. We'll just write him in. It ain't that easy, okay? It's just not. And we don't want to have to go that way. If we have to, we will, but we don't want to go that way. But anyway, don't believe that story that half of Trump supporters will vote for someone else if Trump's not on the ballot. That's a Fox News poll. Don't believe it. Okay. Have you seen this story, Kathy, about this liberal woman that rang the doorbell of the Republican?
Mm-mm.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. We don't answer our door for anyone that we don't know. We just don't. I used to do that. And then you, Kathy, got me to stop doing that. And even if they look okay, and we have people that knock on our door all the time. They'll have a clipboard or an iPad. They look like salesmen. We open the door for no one. Okay, that's how home invasions happen. Now we got the doorbell camera, we got cameras, we can see and everything, but and we'll see people out there, right? Sometimes while we're podcasting, there'll be someone, they'll come to the door, and Kathy will pull it up on her phone, I'll pull it up on my phone, and we'll see who's out there, and they're knocking, and we don't let them in. We don't open the door, and it's a dangerous thing to open your door to people because a lot of people do get robbed that way. And I love how these people, they're like door-to-door salesmen, and they wear vests that have like that yellow fluorescent thing on them, like so they can be seen to make them look like legit. A lot of Amazon drivers do that. I don't open. So listen to this. A mystery woman ran the doorbell of a home in Oklahoma and quizzed the owner about being a Republican because of 4th of July decorations on his lawn. Surveillance footage of the July 8th incident, this just broke today. Surveillance footage of the July 8th incident show the woman walking up to the home and ringing the doorbell. The guy answered the door, opened the door, and went outside. The strange woman asks him about his political affiliation and his Independence Day themed decorations, which was an American flag.
Goodness.
Yeah, he had an American flag, patriotic banners, and an inflatable Uncle Sam character riding a firework. Yeah, I like that.
That's cute.
Yeah. Then she goes on to blame him because she cannot get an abortion. Okay.
Oh, it's all his fault.
The police were called. They posted the incident on Facebook, and they're asking people that recognize her, if they can, to identify the woman.
What a lunatic.
Yeah. As of today, the woman has not yet been identified. The homeowner told the local news that the woman asked if he was a Republican because of the American 4th of July decorations. I told her it's none of her business who I voted for.
Yeah, because Democrats hate America. Yeah. Even she knows that.
Yeah, it really tells you a lot, right? If
I mean,
he didn't have a Trump anything out there. He didn't have MAGA stuff. She continued questioning me about the decorations and asked if I was a Trump fan. He posted this was all caught on his doorbell camera. See, I told you guys got to get that doorbell camera. You get it for free from Sloman's if you're, one of the first 40 who call when I'm on the air during the week. He posted the disturbing exchange on his Facebook page asking, does anyone know this lady? She drives a black Toyota 4Runner with Texas tags. In the July 8th post, he shared that the woman became angry, told her to get off his property, which led to a vicious rant. She was daring me to shoot her at one point.
Oh, my goodness.
I asked, why would I shoot you? She says, I'm coming back to blow up your house.
Lovely.
I'm like, are you threatening me? You're going to blow up my house? She said, yes, I'm coming back, so you better be ready. In the social media post, he expressed how proud he is to be an American. I've had uncles that are veterans, and I'm proud of that, he wrote. She continued to question me about my decor and asked, where's my Trump sign? And said that I took her rights away as a woman, and now she cannot get an abortion. The homeowner says he lives with his elderly mother and son who has special needs. He says, my family comes first. She's lucky I only used words in that moment, he told the news outlet. After the incident, he filed a police report, and the local news reporter described him as distressed. He says, imagine every time I go to care for my lawn or go outside, I'm afraid someone's going to drive by and shoot me because of how we decorate our house.
What kind of a person do you have to be to go up to a stranger's home, I guess a liberal, and berate them and start harassing them. That's a whole other level of insanity right there.
Well, most people that are Democrats are mentally ill. Michael Savage has that book, Liberalism is a Mental Disorder.
That's true.
And that's true. And obviously,
they just don't like anybody with a different point of view than theirs. They just think you deserve to be harassed if you do.
Or like Trump put in prison, or this guy, she threatened to blow up his house and do all this. And that's pretty scary. I think they'll find her. Oklahoma has a small population, and they've got a lot of information. I think they'll find her. And they'll find that she's a mental patient because, to threaten something like that on the street, she was just driving by and she stopped at the house.
Even she knows that Democrats don't hang up American flags.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And,
not anymore anyway.
Some of you will remember this, but some that have not been with us as long as listeners may not have heard. But I had 2 incidents at our house with our MAGA flag. I had a MAGA flag hanging off our garage, and one of our cats, longtime cats, went missing. This was a couple years ago, and we put up wanted posters all over the neighborhood. We never got her back, and I heard from a lot of weirdos, including one liberal person who called and told me they did it because of the MAGA flag. And then our lawn guy, who we've had mowing our lawn for years. And I don't mow the lawn for 2 reasons, okay? One, I'm allergic to grass, and if I mow the lawn myself, I can't breathe for 2 days, Kathy will tell you.
Yeah,
I try everything, masks, everything, medications, it doesn't work. Plus I'm 52 years old, and it's hot in Florida. It's like 110 degrees outside in Florida during this time of year. But anyway, and the guy doesn't charge that much. But anyway, our lawn guy, he's black. And he's obviously a Democrat. He's an older guy too. He's got a lawn crew. After I can't remember if it was after the election or right before. It was around the election time.
Mm-hmm.
It was before January 6th. I think it was the week of the election, if I remember correctly. And he was reprimanded me in the front of our house about the MAGA flag. He's like,
you didn't say anything to him. He brought it up to you. He's the one who started the conversation.
I went outside to pay him.
Yeah.
Okay. And he started saying, he says, you got that flag up. He says, I remember a time when, people like me couldn't go out around here and all this stuff and everything else, going through this whole rhetoric that Trump is
because
the
of
racist.
Democrats.
Well, I did tell him that.
Republicans.
I said you're absolutely right about that. I said the Democrats, when they ran Florida, were segregationist, and what I told him, I said I'm older than I look, which I don't know. I know a lot of people say that and they look old as the hills, but I don't think I look 52.
No, you don't.
Okay, and this guy's really old. I said I'm older than I look. And I said, I remember when I was a kid in Florida, there were areas where blacks could not go out at night. They were not allowed. And I do remember that. And that's when Democrats controlled Florida and everything. I went to a school that was everybody called it the colored high school. It was an elementary school, but it used to be the black high school. And everybody in town called it I came from Ohio. I never heard anybody talk that way. It was pretty normal. And
I know my grandma's from Ohio. She said colored.
No. I mean the colored high school. I never went to it was segregated place. But anyway, so I talked to and he was just fuming about it. He just was so upset, and I was,
it's amazing how the Democrats were so successfully able to brainwash a lot of minorities that somehow we're responsible
for what they've done.
All these racist things
it's
that
insane.
They did. I don't know why they.
You know how that is, Kathy?
I don't get it.
The education system, the public schools and the media have been brainwashing people for over half a century with that line.
I mean, what have Republicans done that has hurt the black community? I mean, you look at any inner city in this country that's predominantly black.
Yeah.
It's an S-hole, as Trump would say, because it's run by Democrats, and Democrats don't care. They only care about themselves and maintaining power. They don't care about you. They don't care about the country. They don't care about anything but staying in office and having money and enriching themselves. They don't care to make things better What Democrat has made a city better when they left it?
None.
Very few.
None.
They make it worse when they go there. What have they done for the black community?
Nothing.
Or anybody?
Nothing.
I mean, what have they done for anybody? Black, white, Hispanic? I mean, they do nothing.
Nothing. So, our lawn guy and this...
It took a lot of nerve from you. Pay him.
I couldn't believe it.
And for him to say that to you...
I couldn't believe it.
And we even pay him more than he asks. We give him like an extra tip.
Yeah.
On top of it. So for him to go up to you, and he's a nice guy, and we still, I think it's a testament to us because we still have the guy mow our lawn, and we're still very nice to the guy.
Yeah, I didn't fire him.
And we just blew it off whatever. He still comes every 2 weeks.
Let me tell people why I do that, okay? Because I know a lot of people are saying you should fire that guy. This is the opposite of what you should do. You want to give a great example. When you've got a MAGA flag or you wear a MAGA hat or a MAGA shirt, you're representing President Trump. And I could have very easily got angry at that guy and said, don't come back to my house anymore.
Exactly.
I'll find someone else to mow my lawn. There are a lot of guys driving around that could do it cheaper. Remember I told you this guy has an all-American crew. Right, an all-American crew, and he's competing against these guys around town that are filled with illegals, are paying under the table. This guy doesn't pay under the table, nothing, and he does everything, but he's very liberal. And you know what? That was like 2 years ago. Over 2.5 years ago. It was around the time of the election. Yeah, and he hasn't said another negative. You got to give a good example. You want to lead by example. You don't want to fit into the stereotype they have of us.
Exactly.
And we don't talk politics, but he doesn't think I'm a racist. I guess the one.
I hope not.
And he's changed his tune a little bit. But we live in a very MAGA neighborhood. I tell you guys, anytime there's a house for sale, when the realtors come over to show the house, I put on my Make America Great Again hat and I go outside and pretend to be doing something out in front of the house. Just so that the people looking at the houses know that this is a MAGA street. And so far it's worked good. Most of the people that have moved in that I've talked to are Trump people. And maybe I've caused some people to lose a sale or two. I don't know.
I don't know about that, but I think most people are Trump people.
Oh yeah, yeah. We had somebody bought the house down the street from us. Mm-hmm. They had Hawaii plates on their car. I've only seen Hawaiian plates like once in my whole life in Florida. I've seen Hawaiian plates. Hawaiians used to move to California if they came to the mainland. Now they come to Florida. But anyway, the lawn guy. This person that called me with the missing cat photo and everything else, and just like this woman with the doorbell camera at this guy's house in Oklahoma. These people are lunatics, and you don't want to blow up at them. You don't want to, not just because you don't want to escalate talking to a deranged person.
I just would never go up to somebody. Did you see that video? This woman that went into Target in blackface. I don't know what that was all about. This white woman,
got to be a liberal,
goes into Target. I don't know, and she was asking for. The gay section.
Yeah, the pride merch.
It was so
I saw strange. That had to be like a liberal trying to get a viral TikTok trend or something.
People are just weird, and social media has just made people weirder. Well, I don't get people.
When I'm in my Trump gear, I'm always nice, guys, but I'm extra nice with my Trump gear on. Because it's not just because you're representing Trump. Democrats, like if this lady knocked on our door and I went outside like this guy did, I probably wouldn't open the door. I wouldn't go outside. But if I did, I wouldn't have gotten into an argument with her. Okay, I would have been now I still would have called the police because she threatened to blow up the guy's house.
Yeah,
so that's
I would go back in the house and call the cops.
I would have called the police, but I would have been cool with her because you don't want to fulfill their inaccurate stereotype of MAGA people. What these liberals do, like our lawn guy, like this lunatic in Oklahoma that rang the doorbell of the guy. Yeah. What they want to do is they want to push your buttons, instigate you, so that you fulfill the stereotype they have of conservatives.
Maybe she was Garth Brooks' sister.
Maybe.
I know he's from Oklahoma.
This woman should be institutionalized. I mean, could you imagine going up to someone's house you don't know because they have a Biden? If I saw someone in our neighborhood that had a Biden-Harris sign up, I'd be like, what is wrong with that person?
Brian, I wouldn't go up to anybody's house of anybody I didn't know for any reason unless I was invited.
And start accusing them? I mean,
who goes up to random people's homes and knocks on the door just to have a conversation or an argument? That is, to me, insane.
Yeah.
I don't go to anybody's house unless they invite me. Unless it's like my mom or dad, or Emily's house or something.
You see this a lot with what President Trump has done is he's brought out of the closet what liberals think and say. Like there was a clip that was playing on television today on we were watching Greg Kelly from last night on Newsmax, who's just amazing.
Good show.
And I'm so sorry that they moved Greg Kelly to 10 o'clock at night because I can't stay up that late and I don't get to watch him as much as I used to. But anyway, he played a clip of Biden from a few months ago where Biden says we're going to use every means possible with the Constitution to make sure that Trump's not the president again. And what this woman that with the doorbell, the Biden, they have convinced themselves that Republicans are dangerous, that Republicans are violent, that we're all when you're going up against people that you think are Nazis, they think you are justified in doing whatever it is you've got to do to stop the Nazis.
Well, I think it's also for me more about their desire to control. And they all have that, and they use that as an excuse to have control. Maybe deep down they know we're not really dangerous, but it's a means to an end. So this woman, it's bothering her so much that this guy has an American flag because she can't get an abortion. It's bizarre. But so what I think liberals really hate is when people don't agree with them. And they can't stand it. They can't understand that there's different points of view, and it's a control issue. And they justify that desire for control and their craziness by saying, well, you're the ones who are really crazy. So this is why I have to act this way, because I have to do something about this. I mean, that's just a whole other level. I wouldn't even know what to think if somebody. I'd be really afraid if somebody came to my house like that. That's just
I agree.
kooky.
All right, listen, we're going to take our last break, and we'll be right back.
The new book from author William Thien is now available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip. In The Dream Chip, meet David O'Rourke, an intelligence agent turned uploader for the Timelink Corporation, a futuristic technology company. His mission, capture the thoughts and memories of the deceased and store them in the Will of Memories, a protected vault of supercomputers. But there's more to the Timelink Corporation than meets the eye. They're also the creator of the Common Council software program, which empowers citizens to have a say in government decisions. This revolutionary system threatens the power of a group known as the Civocrats, who are determined to maintain their control at any cost. As tensions rise, their leader organizes a mob to attack the Timelink Corporation. The fate of the future is hanging in the balance. The Dream Chip takes you on an adventure filled with technology, political intrigue, and the power of human memory. Order your copy right now on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip from author William Thien, and uncover the secrets that lie within. In the new book from author John Meldum, Pangea, available on Amazon, meet Richard. He's an American who recently embarked on a new life in London. His biggest worry? Surviving and paying his bills on a meager salary. Little did he know, his world was about to change forever. An invasion of unknown alien forces shakes the earth. It was just the beginning. Drawn into a whirlpool of galactic politics, he finds himself in a web of intrigue where secrets are hidden and betrayal is just a step away. Will he rise to the challenges that lie ahead? Or will his name be forgotten in the annals of history, alongside countless others? Find out when you read Pangea, a science fiction detective novel from author John Meldum. Available on Amazon. Order your copy right now and transport yourself to a future where humanity's wildest dreams have come true and choices must be made. Pangea from author John Meldum on Amazon. Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, glory, national glory, this is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind, a story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman Future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today. Are you ready for an inspiring tale of resilience and rebuilding? From author Ken Skelton comes the children's book After the Storm. Hurricane Ian, Jenny the Jeep, and Smiley Help Rebuild Sanibel is now available on Amazon. It's the year 2022. Smiley, a retired handyman, had no idea that a hurricane named Ian would bring him back into action. As Florida, including beautiful Sanibel Island, suffered from the devastating aftermath, one woman named Jenny, owner of a construction and remodeling business, stepped up to the challenge. The government mobilized forces like the Coast Guard, the National Guard, and local police and sheriff departments for search, rescue, and rebuilding efforts. But Jenny didn't stop there. Leading her own team, she rallied skilled workers, including electricians, plumbers, tile installers, carpenters, painters, and many more. Together, they became the silent heroes of the storm, working tirelessly to repair Jenny's business and the homes of her clients. From darkness and destruction emerged a glimmer of hope, a journey that will keep you on the edge of your seat. This book is perfect for parents, grandparents, and teachers for classroom reading. After the Storm, Hurricane Ian, Jenny the Jeep, and Smiley Help Rebuild Sanibel from author Ken Skelton is available on Amazon. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. You know, Stephen Miller, who's just brilliant. He's incredibly brilliant. He was interviewed by Benny Johnson today, and he said Watergate obviously was a deep state coup against Richard Nixon. Absolutely. The FBI brought down Richard Nixon. The same people that are trying to bring Trump down brought down Richard Nixon. And I'll tell you real quick how they did it, okay? What they did with Richard Nixon was insane. And their whole reasoning for doing it, I'm a little unclear on. Okay, but what they did was insane. Okay, this is what happened. During Watergate, they didn't get rid of Nixon first. They got rid of the vice president, Spiro Agnew. They got Spiro Agnew on some bribes that he took when he was in state government. Okay, and that was some federal prosecutors. So they got Spiro Agnew to resign.
Mm-hmm. So why did they want Nixon out so badly?
I don't 100% know, but I haven't put all that together. But it was a deep state operation. So the prosecutors, just like Trump's dealing with today, was with this jerk. The prosecutors, they got this thing on Agnew. Spiro Agnew was the vice president. He resigned. President Nixon nominated Gerald Ford, who, if I remember correctly, he was the House whip. He was in the House of Representatives, and he nominated him to be vice president. I saw President Ford give a tour many years ago, because he's been dead a long time, of his presidential museum, which is very interesting. Brian Lamb was on C-SPAN. If you can find it, it was really cool. And President Ford said, he was in Congress like 30 years about when this happened. He says, I was about to retire. He says, I was going to retire. And then this happened, so I became vice president. You know what I mean? So he was a longtime establishment guy, Gerald Ford. So they got this was very calculating what they did. And Stephen Miller, since he's onto this, I wish he'd write like a detailed history of this, because it's amazing what they did. So the deep state got rid of Spiro Agnew, got him to resign, got Nixon to plug in as vice president, a Republican establishment uniparty guy, Gerald Ford. And then they got Nixon to resign, and then this unelected deep state guy, Gerald Ford from the Uniparty, became president. And that's what they were trying to do with Trump. And if you guys remember, the day before Biden's inauguration, they were trying to get Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment, remove Trump, and have Pence show up to Biden's inauguration as president. I don't know if you guys remember.
That's crazy.
So then But after they got rid of Spiro Agnew and had Ford in there, they still had to get rid of Nixon. And the FBI gave all the reporting that Woodward and Bernstein did. Their book is a lie. The Woodward and Bernstein, All the President's Men, is a lie. The FBI, Norman Felt, who was Deep Throat, who hated Nixon because he was upset after Hoover died that Nixon did not make him FBI director,
Same thing like with Comey.
Yeah. Gave all the information that Woodward and Bernstein had to them directly from the FBI. They were not investigative journalists. That movie, I've seen it 50 times. It's a lie. The FBI, it was a whole operation, just like Trump. Now, Trump has stood up to them, and the reason things have escalated to the level they've escalated to is because President Trump stands up to them, and that's what has them unglued. They've never had people stand up to them. Usually, they cave and it's over, but not Trump. And I'm so glad that Stephen Miller talks about that. Now, this is something I've known before Trump came down the escalator with Nixon, but I didn't think about it too much, you know. I did, and until we've seen what they have done. In fact, there's an interesting movie you guys should see with Liam Neeson playing Felt from the FBI, Deep Throat, and it starts the day that Hoover died. You watch that movie, and also Woodward and Bernstein. When Deep Throat died, a book came out about it. I don't know if Bob Woodward wrote the book or if Woodward and Bernstein wrote the book, but it was the whole inside story of how this FBI guy gave Bob Woodward all the information. It goes through the whole background. That's how I know all about this. I got the book and read it when it first came out. I cannot remember the title of the book, but it should not be hard to find. And Rachel Maddow has even done a complete podcast. She doesn't realize what she is doing, and she has a book about Spiro Agnew. She did an entire podcast and wrote a book, Rachel Maddow. I might even get this book on audio tape. And unless she narrates it, I couldn't listen to it narrated by Rachel Maddow. But Rachel Maddow has done an entire book, well-researched book from reports. I've not read the book, about how the deep state brought down Spiro Agnew. But she doesn't put the pieces together about how the deep state was against Nixon. That was a step, and that's what they're doing with Trump. She didn't bring all that together. But that's what's going on. And Donald Trump is the first person to stand up to these people. Because all the other people that have gotten to Trump's level are flawed people that either, like Ron DeSantis, his flaw is he and his wife want to be rich. They want to be rich. And their path to wealth is this political route. So that makes them open to do deals. Some of them have shady backgrounds, right? That, you know, like we were talking at the beginning about how Mike Pence's wife won't let him be alone with anybody. So obviously Pence has some things in his background that have him somebody that they can do business with. Yeah, you guys understand what I'm saying? So Donald Trump, I remember when Donald Trump first came down the escalator, I thought, oh boy, they're going to be going after this guy. And I even thought to myself, there's no way a guy that's this rich and famous his whole life doesn't have some dark secrets long ago they're going to bring. He's got nothing. That's all been image.
Yep.
It's all been this Studio 54 Playboy image was just marketing by Donald Trump. Because you hear these stories all the time. Remember, like David Copperfield had that island in the Bahamas and stuff. Remember, all these rich guys, they usually have backgrounds that the deep state can use to get them to play ball. And with Donald Trump, they can't buy him.
Well, they had to make things up.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have anything.
That's correct.
They had to make it all up.
He can't be bought. He's too rich to be bought, right?
They obviously did research on him and found nothing they could use. So they made up this Russian dossier.
Yeah.
And went after him on total fake news.
And I think it blows their minds how squeaky clean Donald Trump is because he's too rich to be bought. And he doesn't have some dark background with these eyes wide shut parties that the rest of them, like Kevin McCarthy, a couple years ago when it came out that he was living in secret without even his wife knowing, was living with Frank Luntz in Washington, D.C. Frank Luntz.
And his toupee.
The pollster, okay? Kevin McCarthy was living with him and Kevin McCarthy's story was that he was living in his office. That was a lie. And I don't even think Kevin McCarthy's wife knew he was living with Frank Luntz. And Frank Luntz is a Californian. He lives in Brentwood. He's a weirdo and he's a freak, okay? And his home in Brentwood, Luntz has one room that's a replica of the Oval Office, and he has a dress with a stain on it on a hanger on a coat rack in the office. It's supposed to be the Lewinsky dress. You can figure out the stain part. You know, I mean, that's what kind of freak he is.
Yeah.
So Kevin McCarthy, obviously, that's, you know, if he's living at some guy's apartment in Washington and his wife doesn't know about it, and and he's saying he's living somewhere else. You understand what I mean? So, and Donald Trump doesn't have any of these things that they can use as leverage. Like Spiro Agnew did take a bribe when he was in state government, okay? It was I might be wrong on the number, but it was around $175,000. But
I just would love to know why they wanted to take down Nixon.
I'm not sure why. Because he seems to be cooperating. He was in
Washington too. I mean, he wasn't some outsider.
Well, he won 49 states. That might, and maybe he was getting too powerful, and they didn't want him to choose the next. I don't know. He really didn't
do anything bad, did he?
The country
liked him too much.
No, he escalated the war in Vietnam and killed a lot of people. Yeah, the deep state would want that. Yeah,
right. So that's what I don't understand. I thought he did what they wanted.
That's hard to say. I mean, the deep state has turned against Biden in many ways. So, although he's started cooperating again, so they backed off.
Maybe it's just one person. Maybe the FBI guy, he just pissed him off and he got the ball rolling and had a lot of friends. And I think George Bush did that with Clinton too.
Oh, no. The deep throat, because he didn't become FBI director. But it started before that with that was mainly because Nixon was mainly because Mark Felt wanted to be deep throat, wanted to be FBI director. He got passed over, and what had happened, you guys, J. Edgar Hoover founded the FBI, and he was the only director. And I cannot remember the name of the guy that Nixon made FBI director. This is what happened, Kathy. Now that you ask, okay, now I know why they went after Nixon. Okay, the FBI director that he appointed was a political guy. He wasn't from inside the FBI, and the FBI thought that when Hoover died, that they would appoint someone from within the FBI. And when that did not happen, when it was a political person from the outside, the FBI went on a war against Nixon to bring him down because they lost control. That's why they went after Nixon.
I think Trump firing Comey was what got all
this going. That's 90% of the reason he's dealing with.
Going.
That's them. Yeah.
I think and maybe privately he has said I never should have fired that guy because it just got a whole bunch of things going that I have to deal with now. And I think that's a huge part of why he's dealing with all of this right now. That was like the catalyst for all of this, I believe.
Obviously, they were after him before that, but 90% of why he's dealing with what he's dealing with today is because he fired Comey.
Yeah. So that was probably not the best decision.
Because if you notice, it's the Justice Department that are hounding him so much, and FBI is part of justice.
Yes.
Now, those of you that are Patreon supporters, I want to let you guys know Patreon upgraded their platform, and they've allowed me to not just me, everybody that is on Patreon. It allows us to post more things, including videos and things which we could not do on the Patreon platform. So I just started this week posting a lot of exclusive video content and things on the Patreon page. So those of you that are Patreon supporters, this is something new I'm doing quite regularly. And check that out. And if you're not a Patreon supporter, you should become one because you'll be supporting this program and all my content. And you'll have access to all of this exclusive Patreon content, the behind-the-scenes videos and commentary that I'm doing. Kathy posts a lot of exclusive content as well. And also you get commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes. And if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description. And there's also a link on my website, briancraigshow.com. Another perk is those who are top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Arctic Fox, Heather, David, Richard, and Melissa. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support. So, guys, there's lots of breaking news going on, and I'm going to be with you guys, with Kathy throughout the weekend with coverage of everything that goes on over the weekends. And, I do live stream during the week every morning, but I have also been live streaming every weekend, Saturday and Sunday too. So I live stream on my YouTube channel 7 days a week. Okay, it's Brian Craig Show on YouTube. Guys, if you do not subscribe to my YouTube channel, and of course it's free to subscribe to YouTube. They use that word. That I wish they said follow. But if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube, you'll have a great experience there. I not only do I live stream every morning when I'm on the air, I upload the podcast there. And when I upload the podcast to my YouTube channel, I do it on a live premiere where there's a live chat room, and Kathy and I are in there, and we got a great community of people. And usually we upload the podcast in the evenings, and it's a great, very active chat room, just like on the morning show. And when I live stream on the weekends, I take live calls on my weekend YouTube live streams too, just like I do during the week.
There's a lot of people like you on YouTube that discuss politics and things. I don't know anybody that takes calls.
Live call screenless.
I think you're like the only one.
Yeah, live call screenless.
Screenless live call, yep.
Yeah, and people that very few people on YouTube take calls, but very few people that take calls on radio shows and stuff like I do them screenless.
Right.
And
they have somebody that answers the phone and that asks you preliminary questions and decides. It's like a gatekeeper. And when you call Brian on the radio or during the live stream
on the weekend,
there's no gatekeeper. You call, boom, that's it. You're there. And there's no in between.
I do that on purpose. At the radio,
you've always done that.
At the radio station, we've got a very good board op mic, and he could answer the calls for me. And he doesn't do that because I don't want him to. On the live streams that I do from my home studio, which is a totally different studio and vibe than I have during the week, and I really enjoy it. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that they like my home studio setup more than my weekday setup.
You have, that's amazing.
And our daughter set this up for me, and it's very, very nice. But I could screen those calls too, and I choose not to. Yep. And the reason I don't screen calls is many, but one of them, it makes it more interesting because I don't know what's coming. Okay, I don't know what someone's going to bring up to me, what they're going to call me out on the carpet for, if they love me or they hate me.
It's more interesting for you too.
It's more interesting for me, and it's more interesting, I think, for listeners because maybe somebody will catch me on something one day and I'll look like a fool. It hasn't happened in a long time. Can't remember the last time it did happen, but it could happen. All right, guys, listen. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. My name is Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
Calling all young adventurers and curious minds. Get ready for a learning experience like no other with Teaching Time for Kids, interactive learning for 6 to 10-year-olds from author Mai Lee. Available now on Amazon. Learning is an exciting journey, and this book will take you on new adventures filled with fun facts and quizzes at the end of each section. Quizzes aren't just for school. They challenge your comprehension skills and help you retain essential knowledge throughout your academic years. With this fun book, you'll discover amazing animals, volcanoes, different types of weather, and more. Plus, discover the fascinating stories of former U.S. presidents and the world of sports. This book is just the beginning of your learning quest. Stay curious and open-minded to find the fun in all information. Grab your copy now and begin an educational adventure the whole family will enjoy together. Teaching Time for Kids, interactive learning for 6 to 10-year-olds from author Mai Lee, where learning becomes a thrilling experience. Available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook on Amazon. Order your copy right now.